Hello again to all my beautiful individuals out there. In this video I'm going to do a follow-up of the security versus liberty quiz. This is not going to be a genuine quiz with you having to take any type of notes. I'm going to be more forward with what the categories represent. There's going to be less questions and there's going to be some different versions of these types of questions in this video. Hope you enjoy it. Hope you learn something. Let's have some fun. For these first 5 questions, I guess you would call them, or topics, we're going to be focusing on 4 categories. Topic number 1, love. Option 1, I'd love to live in a community filled with people who look and or think just like me. This is a standard leftist ideal, a leftist motive. It's focused on the idea of a collective. This collective could be defined by, how people think, how people look, how people believe, how people, whatever. It's this collectivist way of thinking. Option 2, I'd love to be left alone, to do whatever brings me happiness on my private property, regardless of what any person, group, or religion thinks. This is your typical rightist viewpoint. It's an individualist viewpoint. This would be a viewpoint of someone who doesn't care about the opinions or ideals or beliefs or morals of some collective. They don't care about what other people think. They don't want to be around other people. They just want to do their own thing, regardless of what others think. Option 3, I'd love to see humanity journey to the stars, colonizing planets and moons, discovering alien life, and progressing our technologies beyond our wildest dreams. These are centralist viewpoints or nationalist viewpoints. These are the viewpoints of an individual who believes in groupthink, but also understands that individuals exist and individuals need freedom to progress society. This would be the viewpoints of someone who is progressive thinking, who wants to expand humanity beyond its limitations. However, they also are conservative in that they want to hold on to humanity, but they want to progress that humanity. They want to go beyond the earth and journey out and create new home worlds that they could build up and defend. Option 4, I'd love to see humanity abandon its materialistic lifestyle / technological dependency and learn to live in harmony with the nature of Earth. This is an external viewpoint or a globalist viewpoint. These are the types of things you would hear from somebody who doesn't care about any type of group or collective or religion, like such over here. However, they think that rightist thinking or individualist thinking is selfish and ignorant and maybe immature and trying to get away from everybody, neglecting responsibilities, so to speak. However, this is also a viewpoint that is opposite of this, the central viewpoint, where here the person believes in humanity and evolving, moving forward in terms of technological advances and bettering the human race. This viewpoint thinks that those are wrong. That's expressed in the anti-materialistic sentiments. This person believes that the earth is everything and humanity should never go out into space, that humanity was created here on the earth and humanity should stay here on the earth and try to make the world a utopia. So which one of these 4 do you feel more drawn to? Are you more of a leftist or collectivist? Are you more of a rightist, an individualist? Are you more of a centralist or topist, which is a nationalist? Or do you feel more drawn to the bottomist or external viewpoint, the globalist viewpoint? That was only one of 5 questions in this little category. Topic number 2, hate. Option number 1, I hate when someone hurts or upsets others. This is a standard leftist viewpoint. It's a sympathetic viewpoint. This idea that it's good and necessary to worry about others' physical well-being as well as others' emotional or mental well-being. To go out of their way and try to defend or offer security to others. This could be the security for their well-being so that they're not being harmed in terms of like getting attacked or killed or raped or anything like that. Or it could be trying to protect their internal well-being. They're trying to offer security to their heart or their mind, trying to make sure they're not upset or, emotionally bogged down by stresses in society. Option number 2. I hate when someone tries to tell me what I have to do or what I can't do. This is your standard rightist viewpoint or individualist viewpoint. This person isn't worried about the well-being of others, what they're doing to be happy or what's making them sad, what's upsetting them, what's hurting them. That's their business. That's their problems. Over here, the rightist or the individualist just worries about themselves, just worries about their own problems, just puts their nose only in their business. These individuals are triggered by the idea of being told they have to do something or that they can't do something. The fact that some other person or some collective would dare tell this individual that they have to do something they don't want to do, or tell this individual that they can't do something that they want to do. That is the polar opposite of the rightist ideology. Option number 3. I hate when someone or some group hurts or embarrasses my community or nation. These are the viewpoints of somebody who is just your typical milquetoast, fence-sitting, just centralist, just nationalist. This is somebody who likes to find that compromise, that middle ground between collectivism and individualism. That they want a balanced scale between security and liberty. And the way they do it is they don't focus on a collective group or a bunch of other people, but they're also selfless enough to not think about just themselves, like right-wingers. They focus on the nation or the community. They think about the well-being of their community. And so they take offense when somebody is disrupting their community or embarrassing them on the national stage for the whole world to see, because they identify with the nation. Option number 4. I hate when someone or some group hurts the climate or nature. This, of course, is your typical bottomist or external or globalist viewpoint. These kinds of individuals or people in this kind of collective don't worry about a bunch of other collectives out there. And they're not worried about really themselves. They're willing to be selfless and give up what's beneficial to them or what brings them some type of pleasure. Instead, what they're focused on is the earth. They worry about the climate. They worry about nature. They want to preserve the world. And this puts them in contrast with the center or nationalists who worry about nations and nation states. Because these individuals, the globalists, they are against nationalism. Because these individuals or these collectives worry about the nation state first. or humanity first. Whereas those down here, those who are globalists, are willing to sacrifice humanity or sacrifice the nation state if it means preserving the climate or preserving nature or preserving the world. Which of these four do you feel most drawn to? If you're keeping tally, go ahead and put your one down. Topic number 3, faggot. Option number 1. I'm offended that such a word is being said so freely in this video, disregarding the feelings of those who might have been traumatized by it in the past. This is a standard leftist viewpoint, or collectivist viewpoint, or securitarian or conservative viewpoint here. These individuals who are part of these collectives are worried about these other collectives, including the homosexual collective. They are worried about the security or safety or well-being of that collective. That's what drives them. So much so that they ignore the topic at hand. You can't even discuss things with them. They're so thrown off course that the only thing they can focus on is the safety of a collective. Option 2. I think that if someone identifies as a faggot, that's their choice, but they shouldn't be treated any worse or better for it. This is your standard right-wing or rightist viewpoint, your standard individualist or liberal viewpoint. These individuals respect an individual who wishes to identify as a faggot, even though it has a historical negative connotation to it. Hey, that's their business. If they want to be called faggot, that's fine. If they don't, then there's no need to call them that. As it says, they shouldn't be treated any worse or better for it. So it doesn't matter if somebody is a part of a collective of faggots or not. That collective doesn't matter to the rightist. The rightist doesn't see that collective. The rightist doesn't respect that collective. The rightist just sees the individual. And if that individual wants to be called a faggot or doesn't want to, then so be it. The rightist understands that the word faggot may be offensive to some people, but fuck them. Option number 3. I think people are free to be homosexuals, but government/society shouldn't promote the lifestyle because it harms our nation's population growth or collective righteousness. This is your standard centralist viewpoint. Obviously, they just focus on the nation, the well-being of the nation. And they understand that logically, scientifically, two men having sex cannot reproduce, nor can two women doing the scissors make any children. So, they think that homosexual lifestyles shouldn't be promoted because it's not offering anything beneficial to the nation state. There's also a little segment here, the collective righteousness. This could be regards to a moral code or perhaps a religious moral ground of their nation state, and they believe that if you're a part of their nation state, then you are tainting or maybe degrading their nation state by engaging in homosexual acts. So they're not saying that you can't do it, they're just saying we shouldn't be promoting it. You're free to do it, but hey, my hands are clean of it. I'm not a part of that. Option number 4. I think homosexuality should be promoted by governments/societies to ensure their populations collapse, which makes the option of merging into a one-world government more enticing. This, of course, is your standard external viewpoint, or your bottomist or globalist viewpoint. People who are individuals or collectives a part of this are going to understand that if a strong, if a nation state has a strong population growth, then they can stand independently and they can take care of themselves. They don't need other nations. They're strong on their own. And this causes a big problem for globalists who want individual nation states to all collapse so that they can consolidate power and create a one world government. So they want the promotion of homosexuality, because the weaker other nations get, the stronger their globalist agenda becomes. Which one of these four do you most feel drawn to? Think about it, and if you're doing the tallies, you can put you down a tally. Topic number 4. One world government. Option number 1. A one world government must occur to finally eradicate that evil blank. And the blank could be a religion, a culture, a system, or perhaps a race. In true leftist fashion, here we have another viewpoint that is focused on security. The whole point of this argument is to protect people from something that is perceived to be evil or dangerous. It could be a religion, it could be a culture, it could be a system, it could be a race. Regardless, they're focused on the security of a collective, and they're focused on the dangers of another collective. As an example, going back to a previous question here, if you wanted to get rid of, let's say, a certain culture, okay, so maybe it's the homosexual culture. Well, just getting rid of the culture is difficult, so you would have to target those who hold the ideals of that culture. You'd have to go after the homosexuals. Or if you wanted to get rid of a religion, it's hard to just get rid of a religion if there's still people running around with the religion. So you have to target, let's say, Christians, if you want to get rid of Christianity. Or you have to target the Muslims if you want to get rid of Islam. Same thing with some type of system. There are people who think that there is a system of like white supremacy in, let's say, America, and so they think that, well, this is a system and it's a problem, we're going to have to get rid of the white people to get rid of the white system of racism or whatever. Or, targeting a race, quite just literally, you people look this way, so you've got to go because you're part of that collective that we've created. Option number 2. I could approve of a one world government occurring one day, but only if humanity has the option of living off of this world. Here we have a traditional rightist viewpoint. The idea of a one world government doesn't scare them. What scares them is the idea of a one world government if everyone's still living on the one world. Because if you have a one world government and someone like Adolf Hitler becomes, the leader of the world, where's everybody going to run to escape his death squads? Where's everybody going to run and hide to avoid getting thrown in concentration camps and eradicated? Where's the help going to come from? If the whole world is under some type of global fascist authoritarian organization, where's the help going to come from outside to defeat that enemy and save us all? There isn't going to be one. You're just trapped in dystopia forever. The rightist view is if the earth wants to have a one world government, it can, but there's got to be an option where people can leave the earth and go live on the moon or on Mars or other places throughout the solar system. This rightist viewpoint would respect the individuality of certain planets or certain moons. So there could be, let's say, a certain unique culture on Luna the Earth's moon. And so all the cultures, all the communities and civilizations on Luna might have its own unique culture and it wants to have its own one moon or one world government. This viewpoint says that's fine. If people on the moon want to have one government for the whole moon, that's fine. Because if people don't want to live in it, they can choose to go live on the Earth or maybe on Mars or wherever. Option number 3. A one world government must never happen, because its emergence would mean the death of every unique culture, religion, race, language, art, and form of government. Here we have the traditional centralist viewpoint, which is just by nature anti-globalist. The reason being is because this viewpoint is one that respects individuality, but also the individuality of collectives. This is a viewpoint that understands that diversity is a strength. That could be a diversity of culture, a diversity in religion, diversity in race, different types of language, diversity in art, and even diverse forms of government. So you can have, perhaps communism somewhere over there, and maybe fascism somewhere over here, and maybe some type of democracy over here, and maybe some type of, anarchical community thing over here, or whatever. Let people have options. Don't merge it all together. Because when you do that, all of these beautiful, unique things, and some things that are bad, but that badness is a good contrast to create, or not really create, highlight the beauties of other things. So you have to have, use some very basic terms here. You've got to have something that sucks here so that you can appreciate something that's great here, basically. It's kind of like, how can you understand what happiness is if you have never experienced sadness? How can you think that this religion or this culture is great if you can't compare it to a religion or culture that sucks? Option number 4. A global government must occur because it's the only way to end poverty, pollution, pandemics, and wars. Here we have another example of globalist thinking. Of course, focusing on global government or one world government as a way to end these things that are just normal parts of life. These are being used as excuses or facades, in my opinion, to create the one world government. Of course, there will always be poverty, but the belief is if there's a one world government, there won't be pockets of poverty, because that one perfect government can go wherever the poverty is and eradicate it. Of course, there will always be pollution, but these individuals believe that if there's a one world government, which would be perfect, then all pollution would have to be eradicated because pollution's harming the earth and the climate. And of course, there will always be pandemics. There's always going to be new viruses appearing and old ones evolving and transforming. That's always going to happen. But they believe if you have a one world government, then that virus can't outrun the might of that one world government. And of course, without different nations to fight against each other, if there's just one world government, then you don't have to worry about wars anymore. Obviously, you can't have two nations going to war if there's just one nation in the whole world. Which one of these 4 best represents your way of thinking? What are you drawn to? The leftist viewpoint? The rightist viewpoint? The topist viewpoint? Or maybe the bottomist viewpoint? Are you more collectivist, individualist, nationalist, or globalist? think about it. If you're doing tallies, put it down, and we'll move on to the fifth one. Topic number 5 is not summarized really in a single word. It's basically, what is the North Star, or what is the North Pole of your ideology? What is the main thing that you're driven by? What is that core that is inside of you? Option 1. I think my security is more important than your liberty. Option number 2. I think my liberty is more important than your security. Option number 3. I think humanity's future is more important than the Earth's future. And option number 4. I think the Earth's future is more important than humanity's future. What is it that drives you? Is it security? Is it liberty? Is it humanity? Or is it the Earth? A better way to understand this is, what are you willing to sacrifice to get what you want? Or what are you willing to see disposed of so that what you think is right can prosper? Are you willing to sacrifice security, which would mean that you would be over here? Or are you willing to sacrifice liberty? That would mean that you are over here. Are you willing to sacrifice humanity and the nation state? Because if so, that would put you down here as a globalist, worrying about the world and a one world government. Are you willing to see the dream of a one world government go down crashing and burning, and if the world is destroyed, so be it, as long as humanity prospers? Well, that would put you up here as a centralist or a nationalist, believing that humanity doesn't need the Earth, that there's an infinite universe around us and we can just leave here and find a home somewhere else. With those 5 topics, I only offered 4 options for you to choose from. Those options were top, bottom, left, and right. But there are other options. There is an option between each of these 4. These 4 things are your basic left versus far left, or your basic right versus far right. This is also where you find the extreme left, which is beyond the far left. And it's where you find the extreme right, which is beyond the far right. Individuals like myself. More appropriate terms for these 4 would be securitarianism, libertarianism, authoritarianism, and anarchism. And so those are the 8 points around the political will. Nationalism, securitarianism, collectivism, authoritarianism, globalism, anarchism, individualism, and libertarianism. So what if you don't fit in with the top or the bottom, or the perfect left or far left, or you don't fit in with the perfect right or the far right? What if you're kind of in between somewhere? Well, I have one question for that. It's basically, what is your motto? Option number 1. The past defines us, so we should never forget it. This is your standard leftist viewpoint. This is where conservatism lives and dies. the people who focus on defending things of the past. And what are things of the past? Anything that has existed or already exists, and you wish to conserve them, or preserve them, or offer security for them. These are nouns of any sort. They could be persons, places, or things. Option number 2. It doesn't matter where we come from. What matters is where we're going. This is your standard rightist viewpoint. This is where progressivism lives and dies. It's where people go and live and prosper when they want to progress. They want to invent, they want to create, they want to express themselves, and they want the freedom to freely express themselves. They believe in a collective, but it's a small collective. And they want that small individual collective to be very free. Option number 3. The end justifies the means. So here we have an extreme leftist viewpoint, an extreme leftist motto or ideal that might equals right, effectively. It's whatever you can do, whatever the collective can come together and do, even if it means sacrificing the collective. Hey, the end justifies the means. Yes, there's a sacrifice, but it's for a greater cause. Yes, even a collective may have to suffer, but they will suffer collectively, and through that they will eventually get their victory and prosperity collectively. Through their collective endurance, they will enjoy collective utopia. Option number 4. Whatever happens, happens. This is your standard extreme rightist viewpoint, the viewpoint of the anarchist, the person who just doesn't care, the nihilist who just says, whatever, nothing has any importance. Y'all don't have any importance. This world doesn't have any importance. Your religion, your race, all of these things are garbage. Don't worry about them. Don't put any faith in them. Don't try to defend them. It's all worthless. Who cares? Just let it all unfold the way it's going to unfold. Let the chips lay where they lie. This is also where you find the ideals of like Stoicism. Just let it be. Just things tend to work out for the best if you just don't interact. So just let the world go. You don't fight the heat of summer. You just let it come, because eventually summer's going to pass. You don't try to fight and defeat winter, even though it's really cold and really inconvenient and it even kills people. Because eventually, you just leave it be. Winter is going to pass on. And that's the way things in society are. At least that's the viewpoint of the anarchists. So what, man? Whatever happens, happens. Which one of these 4 best speaks to your soul, to your heart, to the essence that makes you, you? Now I have 2 more topics, and these are going to be as in-depth as I can go. I'm going to offer all 8 options for you to choose from. The first topic is police. Option number 1, the extreme right viewpoint. I think there should be no collective to enforce laws. Anarchism. Option number 2, the far right viewpoint. I think there should be a separation between police and state. Private policing companies which sell services. Individualism. Option number 3, the rightist viewpoint. I think there should be city and town police with elected sheriffs. Libertarianism. Option number 4, the centralist point of view. I think there should be state police / county police networks to ensure criminals can't leap from one county to the next. Nationalism. Option number 5, the leftist point of view. I think there should be federal policing agencies which handle mass regions. Securitarianism. Option number 6, the far leftist viewpoint. I think there should be a federal police force for the domestic population, which acts as a separate branch of military and are skilled at combating protests and snuffing terror attacks. Collectivism. Option number 7, the extreme leftist viewpoint. I think combat-trained troops should be deployed on domestic soil to give our nation top-tier security. Authoritarianism. And option number 8, the external viewpoint. I think every nation should give up its police and military, allowing an international / global policing entity like the UN to enforce the laws of the global empire, headquartered in the Empire State. Globalism. You have several options here to choose from. Think about it. Consider what you think would be best. And hold on to that thought, because I got one more question for you. This last topic is going to be one which offers 8 options to choose from. The topic is, what reason do you think, personally, would be behind you killing 10 people? More specifically, for what reason could you ever see yourself killing 10 people? And I'm not going to know your answer, so be honest with yourself for the video. Option number 1, to defend my country. Nationalism. Option number 2, to defend the lives of more than 10 people. Libertarianism. Option number 3, to convince others to A, get off my property, or B, get out of the road. Individualism. Option number 4, because I didn't like the system they represented. Anarchism. Option number 5, I thought Mother Earth would benefit from their deaths. Globalism. Option number 6, I thought my beliefs or ideals could spread by sacrificing them. Authoritarianism. Option number 7, I hated A, their appearance, B, their wealth, or C, their ancestry. Collectivism. And the 8th option, they broke the law, and the law is absolute. Securitarianism. Look over these options and again ask yourself, for what reason do I think that I would ever kill 10 people? Think about these options. Figure out which one best represents you and your moral code or your cultural background. What is it you're spirit is drawn to? What is it that represents that which is in your heart? Well, that wraps up this video. Simple, pretty straightforward. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I hope you found it intriguing, interesting, maybe educational, at least about yourself. And yeah, I don't know what the next video is going to be, but we'll just have to wait and see. Anyway, stay happy, stay free.